So in this video, we're going to be working with class blueprints, which as mentioned in the previous video, is great when you want to have something that's modular, something that can be used over and over again, and you can have different instances and you can edit and tweak those instances. So to stay organized, the first thing we're going to do is create a blueprints folder. So I'm going to call this blueprints. And to create a blueprint, we're going to right click, go to blueprints, and select the blueprint class. And today we're going to be doing an actor blueprint. Now when we say actor, this doesn't necessarily mean an avatar or a biped, something we usually associate with the word actor. This can be a mesh, this can be a camera, this can be just an object that's placed or spawned in your scene. So we're going to do an actor blueprint. And good naming convention, you'll notice SkySphere follows this as well. We're going to start the file with capital BP _ and then we'll give it the name. And this name, we're going to use a box today, so we'll call it box. All right, so in our class blueprint, we have 3 tabs: the viewport, the construction script, which we'll get to in a later video, and the event graph. This is where the bulk of our visual scripting or in our nodes, this is where it's going to happen. So the viewport is where we can see the visual outcome. So we're going to add a component, and again, I said this is going to be a box, so that is a static mesh. And then in my static mesh, I'm going to go ahead and look for a cube, and there we go. Actually, no, I wanted this one. Great. And let's give this a material. And I want to bring this so it's sitting maybe a little bit above the world. Okay, great. So if I bring in this blueprint into my world, there we go. I have a box, and I can bring in multiple instances of this. And you'll notice if I change in my viewport how high the box is in relation to the floor. So let's bring it back onto the ground. Let's see this. So it's sitting right on the ground. That will also change the instances of my blueprint here. But, you know, I could have just done that in the details panel. There's not really a point to having done this. So why have a blueprint at all? Because we can add functionality to this. So what does that mean? So let's bring this back up a little bit. And let's go into this event graph. This is sort of where all the action happens. So you can kind of think of a viewport as seeing all of the nouns, and the event graph is where you see all the verbs. So I'm going to delete these guys. We don't need them. I do want to use event tick. So event tick, this white triangle right here, every frame of our scene, this is going to shoot out a message saying essentially like go. So every single frame of our scene, it's going to just be going go, 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 over and over again. So I'm going to bring in my static mesh, and I want the static mesh to move over time. So I'm going to use add world offset. Okay, great. And let's have it move in, let's have it move in the X direction. So we'll have it just move over 1 unit every frame in the X direction. And remember, because all 3 of these are instances of this blueprint, they're all going to have the same functionality. So I'm going to hit play and turn around, and they are all moving. I'm going to move the player start so I can see that a little bit quicker. Just rotate this around. And if I really want them moving left to right, I can just move my player start. Okay, great. And hit play, and they are all moving now left to right. And of course, I could bring them to the ground. And I could have them rising from the ground up into the sky. So we could just do this in the Z direction. And if I hit play, now they're all rising up. Okay, cool. Now there's infinite possibilities, it seems like, what we can do in blueprints, and it can get a little overwhelming, but one thing you can do to, if you're getting started, is if you drag off from the static mesh and you keep this context sensitive checked off, you can look at all of the different functionality you have. And that's a good way to kind of just get started. But what we're going to do is we're going to stick with the transform. So we already modified the location. So let's try modifying the rotation. So I'm going to break this pin so it's not going to move anymore. And we're going to do add world rotation. And let's see. I want to rotate this, bring this up again. I want to rotate it on this axis. So that's my Z axis. So let's have this move 1 unit every frame on the Z axis. And I'm going to hit play, and we can see now they're all turning on that Z axis. And again, if I didn't like that, and I want it on the Y, no big deal. And now it's spinning on the Y axis. And of course, because we're doing the transforms, we did location, we did rotation, let's try scale. So we don't have add world scale. What we're going to do instead is relative 3D scale. This is going to set a new scale for our target. So let's split this up. So now we have access to the X, Y, and Z individually, and we'll make this a little chaotic. I'm going to assign this a random value between, let's say, 0.5 and 3. So to do that, we're going to do random float in range, and this is going to give it a random value between 0.5 and 3. And we're going to do that for the Y and for the Z as well. We want to have 3 separate ones unless you want to keep this a cube. So we could do that just to see the difference. If all 3 get the same value, it's going to maintain its perfect equilateral shape. So every single frame, it's going to be getting a different size for its scale. And as you can see in a second, that will get very chaotic. So it's just all over the place, really frantic. And if we wanted to make this even more chaotic and not have it maintain its cube shape, we could do this. And now it's really frantic, it's not maintaining its cube shape. Every single frame, it's doing something radically different. So that's just a very, very, very short few examples of what is possible in class blueprints. And in this series, we'll be getting more and more into the complexity of both class blueprints and level blueprints.